Hello, everybody. It's Kristen. I'm the CEO of Photoclass, and I'm really glad to see everybody here today attending Virtual Reality in Education webinar. And there's a link where you can send your questions that we will go through the webinar or right after it as last part. But what we will cover today, first, what is virtual reality? My colleague will then teachers share their experience in using VR in classroom education. Arnold will go what the research says about educational VR use and what are our findings. And then I will make a short summary about different educational VR apps that are available for different platforms and different VR devices and how you can find them and access them through your headset. Lastly, I will show you our Photoclass school bundle, what does it have in the page, how you can get it, and QA is the last session of today's webinar. But let's get to it. Arnold, please.
Thank you, Kristen. Hello to everyone. As Kristen mentioned, my name is Arnold, and I am the educational content designer in Photoclass's team. And we'll be covering in a brief 8 slides coming up. I'm try to keep this quick and on point. Is the basics. What is virtual reality? When you look at research on virtual reality, you will see that virtual reality goes into 2 groups. It's divided into desktop VR and immersive VR. Now, desktop VR is not what we think of when we talk about VR. Desktop VR is basically a classical computer game. It's a virtual reality experience that happens inside your computer on your 2D small screen. Might be a big screen for you. I don't know what your screen size is, but nevertheless, it's a virtual environment inside your computer, and the virtual environment is not, you are not enveloped in it. So it's a screen you are watching. It might be a video, it might be an animation. You might even get a 2D view of a 3D interactable space, more like a computer game inside your stuff. So that's desktop VR. Now, the VR that we talk about when we talk about VR is immersive VR. Basically, it's on the web, when you in VR or virtual reality, is talking about immersive VR, except for scientific literature. In many they have to specify that it's immersive. So immersive VR has different subgroups. We'll talk about those briefly. The main point is that it can be 2D or 3D. Either it's basically a screen around you, or 3D in the sense that it's spatial, you can sense the distance, or 3D in the sense that you can move around in the space. And to clear up a misconception that often comes up, VR device itself is not virtual reality. Virtual reality is the virtual environment you are in or that you're experiencing. But the VR device is simply a medium. When you look at a computer, basically the VR device is the computer screen. It's a bit more advanced in that it can track your head and understand where you're looking at and project you the image based on that info. But nevertheless, the VR device itself is not virtual reality. Now, I've visualized here 3 classes of devices. The range of different VR devices actually more nuanced, but to keep it simple, there's Pcvr, not desktop VR. Pcvr is basically a headset that is connected to a computer, and the experience is driven off that computer. I can show you a virtual reality Pcvr headset here. It's these are usually quite expensive, as you can see from the price point here as well. What makes these special or differentiate from the other types we are looking is that these are always connected with a cable to a computer. You can, when you unplug this, it's essentially like unplugging your monitor. It simply doesn't work anymore. And it needs a really powerful computer to be able to drive the virtual reality experience. The other type, standalone 3DoF or 3 degrees of freedom headset. These are the cheaper type of virtual reality headsets. Cheaper doesn't necessarily mean worse. It's the use case essentially differs. I've got a 3DoF standalone headset here. So when the Pcvr headset is a bit bulkier, this simpler headset is small, easier to carry, transportable, and you can essentially use it anywhere. You don't have to bring your computer with it. And also it's package. It has a battery, screen, a small computer inside, running the visuals and all the animations. But with 3DoF headsets, we'll go into 3DoF more specifically in a second. You're a bit limited in what you can do. Those limitations aren't necessarily bad, but the differentiations are important to know when you, dependent on what you're using the device for. And now this is the third device. I've got a standalone 6 degrees of freedom headset. It's a bit bigger, but not very much. Newer ones are even smaller. And what differentiates these two is that this can move around in the space. It's a lot smarter as a headset. It's got cameras out here for more precise tracking. Essentially, the expensive Pcvr headset, it's really great with good visual. You can move around in the space. This is the same thing, but with a bit less. Okay, let's be honest. It has quite a bit less performance or power. So the visuals are more like something you can see in your smartphone, which isn't too bad nowadays, right? So this is essentially a smartphone power-wise, but there isn't a smartphone in it. It's a standalone, completely separate device with all the necessary bits in here. So easy to use and rather cheap. It is very cheap. It can get quite expensive depending on the headset type and more specifics. But nevertheless, the standalone 6 headset is a really popular type of headset. Growing, its market share is growing really rapidly, and built on this headset is a lot of great content, also our content. So there's a huge potential in this headset or this headset type, and we'll be talking about the content we offer in a few more moments. Now, also, I've put the prices here, as you I'm sure noticed, and the number of devices in use. About the standalone 6DoF headset, I will point at the 13 million plus devices in use currently. Of those, around 10 million of those devices were sold in the last 1.5 years. So when I mentioned that it's really exploding, then it really is. It's projected that it will have tens of millions of headsets in already the upcoming years. So growing really, really fast. What does this growth mean? It gives us a lot of new opportunities. Since the devices are getting cheap, or at least cheap enough for a regular consumer to be able to afford one, and they're also capable, or at least capable enough for the uses that we want to use them for, and the interface is easy. It isn't much more difficult than the interface of a mobile phone, for example. Their availability is great. Basically, you can walk into any electronics store, and most likely they will have a device like the one I just showed you in the store ready for you to buy. There are large communities of people who are using these. They are growing really quickly, and the customer base is due to these, let's say, market conditions. Now the developer pool is increasing very rapidly. There's a lot more high quality content being created thanks to a lot of developers creating that content. And there's a lot of competition the competition for the content to be even better quality, and at the same time it pushes it to be cheaper. So for the consumer, it's really the best it can be, right? Now onto the degrees of freedom. I promised to talk about that. Why should you even care? Well, the whole presentation is in the context of education, right? And 3DOF, or 3 degrees of freedom, and 6DOF, as 6 degrees of freedom, are quite different. Even though we call both of them VR, 6DOF offers us a lot more capabilities and possibilities. When you look past the initial, let's call it bling of VR, or the like essence, or the main attraction of VR as it being just VR, then 6DOF really takes us further. Instead of simply watching an experience, you can be a part of the experience. You can interact with the experience in very high detail, and you can affect what's the outcome a lot. And the whole experience essentially will be able to move at your pace, not the dictated pace by the content. So as any teacher can tell you, we go when we're not simply passively watching, but actively manipulating the experience or taking part in the experience, the learning effectiveness goes up a lot. And when we're comparing 3DOF, which is more like watching a 360-degree video at a certain distance from you, so essentially a cinema with infinitely large cinema screen, to a 6DOF content on a 6DOF device, then in one case you're passively watching, and the other case you're moving around. So when we look at the prices of 3DOF and 6DOF devices, you should think that maybe 3DOF is simply a really expensive individual screen. And in some ways it is, but I'll be honest, I'm not completely fair, since there is some really good content available on 3DOF devices as well. I'm not saying that 3DOF content isn't good, but I'm saying that with 6DOF devices, the content can be a lot better, a lot more engaging. We've got some examples. Our CEO, Kristen, that you saw before, tried out a 3DOF experience. To illustrate how that looks like, we've got a video of him playing through it. You can see how he acts and what the experience itself is like. Most 3DOF experiences are either videos or animations. In this case, it's a bit of a both. You've got video in the background and some explanations put in front of it as animations. So what you do is look around, experience the world around you, and it really is quite powerful. But what you can do is you can experience only what has been created for you. So you can see a beautiful world, you can experience places where you've not been. But then again, all that is also available on 6DOF devices. I have to mention that all 6DOF devices are capable of running essentially all 3DOF content. So on 6DOF device, you can run everything that is on 3DOF, as long as it's been made at a specific 6DOF device as well. So that was a 3DOF experience. Now let's see what the 6DOF experience looks like. What you see is Christian moving around, interacting with his hands naturally. He can move in the space, and when he moves in the space, his perspective changes. As he squats, he can see things from below. So the 6DOF experience is really a lot more natural, and it simulates the real world a lot better. Now, okay, Kristen, that's enough. Let's continue with the slideshow. Yeah. Now on to the opportunities that 6DOF experiences give us. Thanks to the highly interactable environments, we achieve super high student agency. When you compare a situation when you're showing a student, he doesn't have a lot of options to interact with it. He can either watch it, maybe pause it if he can, and that's essentially it. But in 6DOF environments, he can practice doing things, he can physically manipulate stuff, so he can decide how and when he acts. Muscle memory comes into play. As I mentioned, you can interact with stuff and building up knowledge by doing something is a lot more effective than simply watching or hearing about it. You get deeper experiential memories since the experience you are in often is a lot more engaging, a lot more interesting, so it stays with you longer. The student is mentally and physically an active participant. He interacts with the world, he changes how the world is as long as the world allows him to do that. But all of this is only useful when it's used. On a 6DoF headset, it's possible to create really low value content. And you can create really high value content. Same applies for 3DoF. So it's all great, but only when we make use of it. So when we're talking about VR, it's also not only talking about 3DoF or 6DoF or different types of content. What is VR actually used in the world? So the main three use cases that I'd say are entertainment, so essentially playing games, maybe watching videos, education, a really growing trend, and socializing, playing games with friends. It ties into entertainment in some ways. What's coming up or is in early stages are meetings in VR, so you can be virtually in the same place while physically being separate. Office work can soon be done inside VR. There are different exercise apps already today in use, and it's possible to use these. I think I've even heard of some gyms putting up VR headsets for exercise. It's also used for sales. You want to demo something to a potential client, for example, apartment you're building but isn't built yet, so you want to show what it looks like inside, and virtual events. So all virtual while everyone enjoys. These are the use cases of VR. There are some more. Brief conclusion. Now we are moving on from us talking to the teachers talking. So today we have two Estonian teachers with us, Katrin and Merit, who will share their experiences from using virtual reality to teach children in schools. And we'll soon hear what they think about it. Katrin's going to be up first. Katrin, are you with us? Katrin, I'm not. Katrin, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to be here. My name is Katrin Soika. I'm a chemistry teacher in Gustav Adolf Grammar School, and I also teach a bit young teachers in the university. And I have to say that I started using VR about 2 years ago. At first, I was very curious because I hadn't used such kind of equipment. Okay, can I follow? I heard something strange. Okay, and suddenly I noticed that my students like it. I had heard about animations before, but I noticed that VR simulations are much better, or games are better than animations, because students are more inside of it. And as a teacher, why should I use it in my lessons? Of course, chemistry is quite hard subject, because there are all kind of different abstract concepts. We have to talk about molecules, and there are different formulas, and it is very hard for students to notice what is going on. For that, VR is very good because it can visualize. Of course, we have to make all kind of experiments with our students at school, but sometimes we don't have enough reactions. And for that, it is very good to use VR as well if we have such models. And what I have noticed, it makes learning more active experience because students are all of the time in the process. And what I have read about the VR, it is that it helps students to get free from the chemistry anxiety. I haven't searched it, but I have noticed that students can more easily, for example, balance chemical reactions, and most of them are quite happy when I come with my VR equipment. Of course, there are some problems as well, because we all know that teachers have a bit few time. We have quite a lot of things to do at school. And sometimes it could be one problem that says we are not able to use VR. But if we have good IT support in our school, it is not a problem. The second big problem for me has been that there are a bit few VR devices in our school. For example, in Estonia, there are about 36 students in one class in my school, and I believe that it is quite impossible to use 36 VR glasses at the same time. And it means when I would like to use the VR equipment, I should think out something, how to use them. And as VR is quite a new method, there are not so many good worksheets or examples how to use them, for example, in the group work. But it is very interesting to follow the students and to investigate what they are thinking about that. As I said, there are not enough models for teaching chemistry with VR, and that's why I'm very happy that Photoclass have found time for making such models. Because otherwise, I believe otherwise I wouldn't use VR in my lessons. And sometimes it could be hard to instruct students how they should use VR equipment. But in our school, it is such tradition that students help each other. And we have IT students in every class, and usually IT students are know quite a lot of things about different IT equipment. And when I took my glasses, then the IT students know that they have to help me with them. Here are some examples, because when I started with VR models and lessons, I searched in the internet to find information how to use. I noticed that I should make some group work, because in the B class it wouldn't be possible to use VR in other way. And I have found out that I could use VR in different ways. For example, I can make some paper-based worksheets. I can share these paper-based worksheets for different groups. Usually, it depends, of course, on the class. There are about 3 or 4 students in the group, and there are steps that they should investigate in the group. Some of the questions are connected with a VR game, but same time there are some other questions that should activate those students who can't use VR at the same time. When it was the first time I used such method, I was really surprised, because students started communication in such I can't find the right word. It was very intensive. They talking and try to understand what the VR person is seeing at the same time, and they had the worksheet and they were communicating very well. I have found out that I could also give some simulations from the computer same times same time, then some of the students is using VR equipment, and they have to make the group understanding for the end of the lesson. Of course, students can also use VR equipment individually. For example, in our school, there are some students who would like to learn chemistry faster than others because there are all kinds of competitions, and they would like to know more than I could teach. And then they come to me and ask, can we play some game? We would like to know more. And I have understand it has been quite good experience. And of course, then there are also those students who don't understand chemistry so well. And they come sometimes that I need some help. When I have them very many, the VR equipment helps me because I can give them the classes and they can see the simulation or model or game, and they can follow it, and they can rebuild their knowledge. And it is like retrieval learning. They have forgotten something, they can understand what they have forgotten. They try to make some new connections. Here are some pictures later I can share you. But I like Photoclass models because they are following the curricula of Estonia, and it is quite easy for students to understand the games. For example, here is a picture from students who are learning individually. And actually, those have a game after the lessons and asked that we need some help. And I really like that boy over here. He's thinking and trying to understand what is going on over there. I know that he's balancing at the same time the reactions. Here is also the individual lesson in the chemistry class. And here are some pictures from my group work lessons. And here is such group work that we had laptops, and the instruction was in the laptop, probably it was in the Google Sheets, and the students had to make some molecules and answer to the questions, and same time their group mate was investigating something in the VR equipment, and they had to communicate all of the time. It was quite useful lesson. Students liked it as well. Later they answered to a little questionnaire. Here is also a group work, and here are 3 students in the same group, but this time the worksheets are paper-based. And these group mates who don't have, we are asking what is going on. They're trying to find the answers to the questions, and they have to work together, otherwise they can't find the answers. And the last one is also the group-based learning. Here I have 32 students. And how to take the lessons together, or how to assess them. Of course, it is always the question when we have all kind of group-based works. But for example, I made such thing that I asked students to make, and it is comic. They had to tell with pictures what had been, and they tried to explain here that they had experiments at first, real experiments, and later they had the same situation with VR equipment, and actually they were quite happy after the second day they had such experiment. Okay, I believe that that's enough from me. Moment.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Katrin. We had a question from Enrique for in the YouTube comments, he asked, I think you addressed this a bit in your presentation already, but he asked that if you create the chemistry content you are using by yourself in your school, or are you using some other content? You mentioned you use Photoclass chemistry content. Is there anything else besides Photoclass you are using?
No, at the moment there is not anything else. I have tried to find out if there are suitable modules for me, but I haven't found them yet. Of course, maybe I haven't searched enough, but I don't use. I use only Photoclass.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Now, at the moment, I don't see any more questions. Merit, are you ready? And are you ready to begin with your presentation? Merit, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Hello, my name is Merit.
Yeah, please.
And I live in Vr. I work in a country gymnasium. We have about 300 students. And I will continue on from what Katrin already had said. And I would like to point out some advantages that I have noticed while using VR headsets in my lessons. And one of the biggest change that I've noticed is that using VR headsets helps to make chemistry lessons more interesting, diverse, and playful for both of us, for both the students and for me too. And as it's something new, it's attractive to students. And what I value the most is that the students are 100% focused on learning chemistry while they have a VR headset on their head. And it doesn't matter what's going on in the same room because they only learn and they focus on that. Using chemistry games gives them instant feedback and also positive emotions. It's also a hands-on activity, and it's a more effective way, and it's a way to learn chemistry independently. And one important thing is that students are starting to talk to themselves. They are starting to teach themselves while they are playing, for example, the balancing of chemical reactions game. The inner conversation is a very important thing, and also they lose track of time, and they get addicted to learn. I have never had that experience that the students don't want to go home, but while using VR headsets, I have had this situation that the students don't want to go home even when the lesson is over. Some disadvantages are there too. I have had 2 students who were having headaches or dizziness while using headsets. And while using VR games, I have to be more prepared. So I have to always have a plan B, where there are students who can't use them or while there are some technical problems. For example, Wi-Fi is not working. I have used VR headsets another way, and I call it working with stations. For example, I took a topic, the balancing of chemical reactions, and there were 3 stations. And students were going to all 3 stations. And the first one were, for example, traditional worksheet of paper. The other one was a group work using molecular module sets, and the third one was the VR set. And while they go all to the 3 stations, they get a better overview and a better general understanding of the topic. And they see maybe different perspectives than on the traditional lesson. Here are some pictures from our school. I don't know, maybe it is. They are gymnasium students. They are in chemistry lesson, and I think they were making atoms here. Here is one video that I want to show, and here I think you can't hear that, and it's in Estonian, but it's I can see there that they are talking to themselves and they are teaching to themselves, and it's a very, very important thing. They are asking questions from themselves, and they are answering them too. And here's another one. It's an example how they get their positive feedback and emotions. This girl was dancing, and she said that, oh yeah, that was right, and she was really happy. Thank you for your attention.
Questions coming in, so if you're ready to answer them. There was a question that you talked about using VR devices. Was this essentially the first time you used VR, or do you have any training or experience beforehand?
I got one set of VR to myself, and I was able to try the chemistry games. And I think about half a year we have 10 headsets in our school, and my students, almost every student has tried, I think, 3 times in this 6-month period. And I have had only 2 students who got the dizzy or heads start aching.
Mm-hmm. That's really great. Not the dizziness part. I meant the positive side, of course. There was a question: how many devices did you have? I think you mentioned 10 headsets, right?
10.
That's really great. Thank you a lot for sharing your experience and doing the presentation. Katrin, thank you to you as well. Now, I'm gonna remove the headset. Moving on from the teacher presentations. I hope you enjoyed these. I hope they were insightful. We'll talk a bit about what the research says. At Photoclass, we find it important to create our content with the best and latest research in mind, and we try to keep track of experienced and quality researchers and what they are doing, what they've shared. Among different researchers, there doesn't seem to be a common approach to VR. Many interpret different types of VR, different methodologies differently, so that makes it quite hard to compare different research results. Many larger papers that bring together a multitude of others have also stated this. And the interpretation of VR, I'm not saying the results of specific tests, but of how VR could and should be used, seems to be quite subjective. From the research that has been done, a lot of it is medium-based. So what they are not trying to, they're not comparing, although they essentially are comparing one piece of content to another piece of content. Based on this comparison, they are trying to say whether VR as a whole is useful or usable or not. I personally and our team find this a bit it might be misleading in some cases, since when you compare a book to a computer, it's hard to say whether the computer is more efficient. It depends what content is on that computer, how that content is made, what methodologies are used, how it is presented. In some cases, the content on the computer can be a lot more informative, but in many cases, it might not be. It might even be more distracting. So trying to compare two media is not as easy as trying to compare two pieces of content. That's why we would like to see more content-based research being done in the future, especially since medium-based research's validity overall is rather questionable. There has been a lot of debate about this topic as a whole, so would not like to take a too strong of a stance here. Most research, if not all, I don't think I have found, we're talking about our team, we haven't found a research paper that would analyze Sixtoff highly engaging student controlled content versus other methods. Most, or if not all, is based on Threadoff, a rather low interaction content. That means that they are non-stoppable or not user-controlled animations or videos. So essentially, you are comparing watching a video on a large computer screen that wraps around your head to watching a video or some other, or learning some other way on a screen or from a textbook. So in those cases, and in those research papers, we say that there's either no effect or even a negative effect due to the not user controllable VR interface, either overcrowding or overflowing their emotions or their perception. And since, for example, when you look at a slideshow, you can control the slideshow's deck, but you cannot control the speed of the video. So in many cases, the learning in VR in such situations can be less effective. As I mentioned, we are not aware of Sixtoff research. So on this area, research is needed, as there was really well pointed out. The fact that the device is Sixtoff doesn't mean that the content is there to match, or that the content is necessarily better. The content itself also has to take full advantage of the possibilities, and then and only then can we say that it's essentially different. Our results from the tests during development that we have done are rather promising, but there is no fully independent research publicized yet of these results or based on our product. What we have seen is that usually students' confidence after gameplay is around 2 times higher, and the students' performance in the subject is 2.5 to 3 times higher than before the experience. And these numbers are generalized over our development cycle experiments. So two points here. First of all, the test sample size is around 350 sessions that we have done with students during development time of these modules that the results are. The results I'm essentially giving you. And the results, they're not scientific in the sense that the tests are super high quality, or that we can it's not really that comparable, but these are just our initial indications that are positive and seem positive to us. What we are doing to increase the effectiveness of the VR tools that we are creating is making use of different scientific and scientifically backed frameworks. For example, the CAMIL framework, that's a cognitive affective model for immersive learning, is one of the first science-based frameworks for creating VR educational tools, created by Makranski and Peterson, I believe, 2021. And also there are other frameworks as well that we're trying to incorporate into the development of our content to make sure that the content we make is as useful as possible and not, just bling VR, but actually and pedagogically effective use of VR tools to help teachers teach effectively. There's a lot to this topic. We're open to discuss further. If you're interested, please email Kristen or any of our team if you would like to hear more about our research, our opinions, or our approach. We're happy to share. And now, moving on from the research, we will hear from Kristen different examples, and he will go into more detail what is available on VR to use.
Thank you, Arnold. As Arnold said, I will cover, first of all, I will say that our presentation here today is about some limited headsets, so to say, to simplify, because there are a lot of different ways you can access educational content for VR devices. But let's keep it simple and use the platforms and devices that are most popular. So what is there available for educational as educational apps for different subjects you could use in classroom education or education in general? There's a really good app called Mondly for language learning, and there are like 10 or even more languages available, and you can practice different scenarios. For example, here you can see on the picture ordering juice, and you have to speak in the foreign language you're learning, and then you will get some feedback. Did you say it right? Or how was your pronunciation? Was it good enough for you to get to the next phase with this dialogue? Anne Frank house visit in VR, and it is used in schools in literature or history classes. And the experience is about going there during the World War II to visit Anne Frank's house and hear about her experience. For biology and anatomy, there are a lot of different apps available. One of them is 3D Organon. There's Human Anatomy Puzzle, for example, also available. And you get to assemble muscles and bones and do that in a puzzle way. In geography, National Geographic has made some really good apps. You get to visit Antarctica or Machu Picchu and be there in the snowstorm in Antarctica, looking for the iceberg and riding the kayak. In physics, you get to visit an International Space Station, for example, and feel the zero gravity situation. This I do not recommend if there are some implications that the student might get dizzy. But it's a good app to see how the International Space Station looks like. For social emotional learning, there are different apps available. One of them is Notes on Blindness, for example. That goes through the journey of one man who started getting blind and started feeling the world around him with his ears and audio, and then it's presented in as a VR experience. For modeling, there is an app called Gravity Sketch, and it's a rather professional tool, I would say. But we know some schools who are using Gravity Sketch in the modeling classes as a project-based learning, and there are lesson plans available so that the student will model something in 3D environment and then export the model and then print it out with the 3D printer. In art, There are many good apps for modern VR devices. One of them is Painting VR, for example. You can do fun and really beautiful pictures in VR. And for chemistry and physics, we are developing content Photoclass, mainly even focused on chemistry, I would say, but we have some content available for physics as well. And and we're developing even more. But I covered a few of those apps, but how to get them, how to actually access those apps. So like on mobile phones, there are different stores for different mobile phones. For Apple phones, for example, there's App Store, and for Android phones, there's Play Store. And it's the same way for VR devices. For Oculus devices, there's Oculus Store, and for Pico devices, there's Pico Store, and a lot or most of the tethered devices or PC connected devices get their apps from Steam Store. And just to, I remember Katrin also said that she's using Photoclass, and she has searched for other apps as well that she could use in education or use in her chemistry classes, just to get the picture and see the results when you type in education in different platform stores. This one is MetaQuest or Oculus Quest store. I typed in education and there were 90 results. And here's a list of those apps. Of course, not all of them could be easily used in your classes, but some of them are pretty good and can be easily used in education. This is App Lab. When the previous one was the official Oculus Store, then this one is also accessible through Oculus headsets, but those apps are not presented in the official highly curated store. Photoclass is also available through this App Lab. As you can see here, when you type in Photoclass in Oculus Store, there's a pop-up that this app may be experimental or is still in development, and you have to click View App, and then you can access Photoclass. But typing in education in App Lab, there are 133 results. In SideQuest Store, which is also for Oculus Quest devices, there are 204 results when I typed in education. And for Pico devices, there are around 30 results. I'm not sure if the number is updated as of today, but it's around 30-40. And Pico devices, Pico Neo 3 Pro is another very good device, a standalone device on par with the Oculus Quest. That many VR apps available for Pico Neo 3 devices yet. But Photoclass is also there. For tethered VR devices, the devices that are connected to the computer, there's this Steam Store, and by narrowing the search with education and VR tag, it was 387 results. But I briefly already said how you can access Photoclass. We're available for those standalone devices that I mentioned, Oculus Quest or MetaQuest. Meta is their new name. MetaQuest 1, MetaQuest 2, and Pico Neo 3 Pro. And our content is available for schools on these devices, and we charge monthly subscription, or when it's paid annually, it's a bit cheaper, and it gives access to all the VR lessons we have developed. Lesson plans we have developed for those VR lessons, also online and offline tests. And there's also teacher portal for teachers where teachers can see students' VR lessons results online. And another thing that I wanted to mention is out of demand from schools. So what I wanted to mention. Those VR devices are available at your usually in most of the electronic stores around the world, and we are developing software that is available through those stores that you get to access through the headset you buy from your local vendor. But out of need and out of schools' demand, we created this Photoclass school bundle, which is a set of 6 VR devices in a big case that's for storage and transportation. That the bundle has 6 VR devices and the software, meaning access to all Photoclass VR lessons for 2 years. And also access to teacher portal and lesson plans and online tests. I would like to also share the price of this school bundle, but I can't do it since we have people from different countries, and we based on the specific interest, we will be able to calculate how much the school bundle costs because the logistics and so forth are involved. If you're interested in this Photoclass school bundle, please email info@photoclass.com and I will send you the brochure and quote. But be super sure in what you're buying. It goes in general about buying VR headsets to your school or your educational institution. We are one of the companies offering their VR software. In general, think through what content you want to use. Is it 3DOF content or 6DOF content? And based on that, make the decision what VR headset to buy to your schools. Do you want an open platform or a closed platform? Today we covered like 99% of this presentation has been on open platforms and VR headsets that have store on the headset and can access different apps that are available on those stores. There are also VR headsets available that are closed platform where one provider develops the headset and the content on it. If you're a school teacher or educational technologist, be sure that your IT department is ready and is ready to handle new new devices and can has some time to prepare those for teachers and VR lessons as well. There are guiding materials available and teachers get better at it, but at first the main effort has to be put in from the IT department. Sorry. And how many headsets is reasonable to buy? Most of it comes from how big are your classrooms and who are the teachers who are willing to and interested in using VR devices in their classes, and also budget, of course, how much money you can invest in buying headsets. And since we're kind of pioneering in this field, the worst thing for us and for VR in education is when schools buy those VR headsets just to buy some gadgets to the schools. Please don't do that. Be sure to have sure that you have done some research, you know what content you will be using, who are the teachers who would like to use the VR devices, and then make your decision. So, so 3 things to remember from today's presentation. Arnold is showing me something I'm not 100%.
You should see the comments.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I will go through 3 main things I want you to remember. There are good VR devices ready for classroom use, available in most of the electronic stores. Educational content libraries and keeps on expanding. We ourselves keep on developing more content for chemistry and physics tests, but there are companies who are developing really good VR apps that you can use in different subjects. And teachers around the world are using virtual reality apps for educational purposes. So there are communities in many countries, including Estonia and all the other countries, that share their experiences. They share lesson plans and tips and tricks. So there's a network of teachers that you can connect with. And I did put this BET logo here as a 4th thing to remember. We're attending BET with Photoclass. So if you want to try out the content we have developed, we're there. We have our booth, and we are very ready to welcome and have a chat with you and discuss about this topic. Sorry, questions?
I think from my last comment down.
Okay. So Enrique asked about charging. We do not. So the Photoclass School Bundle, or the case we sell, it doesn't have any charging built in. It's just we saw that there's no need. You can charge using the big power cord yourself, and the main thing is to have those pieces in one case and easily transportable. Yeah, and we're invited to some educational conferences. Sure, we would. We're trying to get to those. Yeah, Facebook accounts. That's a very good question. And as you saw, there were mentioned that we sell those Photoclass School Bundles with Oculus Quest or Pico Neo 3 devices. And the main difference with those is Facebook, which is the mother company, the Oculus Quest headsets, requires every device to be connected to one Facebook account. And they, I think it was last year's presentation where they promised that there will be an account for enterprise use where it doesn't have to be connected to a direct person. But right now, every VR device has to have a Facebook account connected with it. And if we sell Photoclass School Bundles together with the Oculus Quest devices, we ask the school to register those Facebook accounts and then provide us access, and then we can preload all the other content on the headset. So Photoclass is not working in browser yet. It might happen in the future. Yeah, so we're working on developing and making more content at the moment, being not only Estonia but being in other countries as well. And this is our focus for this year at least. It might we might add something. If there are any more questions, please Yeah, so thank you, Arnold, for mentioning that. We are super ready to answer all the questions you have when you send those to us via email or just post it on our social media pages. And as I said, we're attending BET, and we would be very glad to meet you all and have a chat about VR in education. Thank you, everybody, and hopefully we will see you soon.